We're going to go to a very similar looking screen, but now we're going to talk about midterm investments. Okay, let's go to the next one, midterm. Okay, so midterm adds this other complexity called college funds. So that first one under discretionary funds, you see that up by step one up there in the left-hand corner? That's all the same as short term, pretty much. Okay, so that all works the same, but now you have this thing called college funds. And not everybody, for midterm, some people may not, if you're young, college funds aren't midterm. This would be your kid's college, not your college, okay? And so, but if you're young, that would probably be a long-term investment, and it will be on the next screen. But if you're over 35, it could be on a midterm. So it just depends where you are in life. But basically, it works the same way. But the catch with investments is, I call it picking the sandbox or picking the garden spot. I'll just call sandbox. There's a sandbox for investments. Then there's a different sandbox for college funds in South Carolina. If you want to get, and if you're in this sandbox, they give you a special deal. It's called, you don't have to pay South Carolina taxes on any money you make. So they wipe out South Carolina taxes so you don't have to pay any, which is pretty nice. Because South Carolina taxes are probably 7%, and so you don't have to pay any of those taxes. Okay, but there's a catch. And so I put a catch under there. See, under the first one, there's called no catch. You make interest, it's yours, and you can take it out whenever you want, and you can do whatever you want with it. But if you make money, you have to pay tax on it, but that's just the way things work when you make money. So the first column over here, there's no change. But in the middle one, there's a catch. The catch says that you can only use it for college-related funds. And it has to be related to you. So you can't all of a sudden get $20,000 in there and say, I'd really like a boat. A boat's not going to qualify for college spending or a new car, okay? And you can't say, well, I needed the car to go to college. They won't buy that, okay? And so if you spend it on something other than South Carolina state colleges, then they're going to charge you a whopping, go back and pay me all the taxes I didn't charge you, and you got to pay all those at one time, plus a penalty for not telling the truth to begin with. And so they lay this whopper bill on you to make it like not in your favor. So a South Carolina, it's called a 529 fund, is a great deal if you're planning for your kids to go to school in South Carolina. But if they're not going to go in South Carolina, it's probably not a good deal. Okay? But it's a great deal if they are. Yeah.
Can you set up let's say you want your kids to go to school in a state that you don't live in?
Yep.
Can you set up a fund there?
That's a great question. So can you set up a South Carolina 529 fund, but for a different state if you don't live in that state? I don't know the answer to that, but I would suspect no. Because I think part of it is we're citizens of South Carolina, and we pay taxes in South Carolina, so they're giving us this benefit in South Carolina. So to say that you're going to want to do that for a North Carolina school when you don't live there, I don't think they'll do that. But that's a good question. I don't know that for sure. But the way you set up these funds, and it's very easy, and you could get the answer to that question, is do you see that line that says many companies will set you up over the phone or online? Fidelity, Vanguard, E-Trade, Schwab, Merrill Lynch, Ameritrade, Wells Fargo, USAA. Have you ever heard of those names? If you call any of them, they'll just give you the answer to Ryan's question. Okay, so they'll know right off but I think the first thing they're going to ask you is what state do you live in? And the reason they ask you what state you live in is because that limits what you can buy. And so I'm suspecting the answer is no, but I don't know for certain. Yes?
What happens if your kid decides not to go to college for some reason and you have to choke them out?
I've heard that the 529 is flexible, but it's not, I don't think it's forgiving. So yeah, and then that's why Sharon and I ended up not doing it, because we didn't know if our kids were going to be here or not. So, but if you think you were born here, raised here, and you think your kids are going to be here, it's a great deal. And you'll see the same section when we go to the long term. Long term is going to add another column over here to the right. But in long term, it's the same question. What sandbox do I want? Do I have colleges to pay for? Do I want a tax-deferred college fund? Or do I want to spend colleges over here on the first one called the discretionary fund? See how it has colleges under there? See that it says discretionary fund and it says colleges or weddings or kids' cars or vacations or rental property, whatever you're going to buy, a house. So if you put money in an investment under discretionary funds, you can do whatever you want whenever you want. There's no catch. You make money, you just have to pay income tax on the money you make. Okay? And so that's total freedom in that first column. The second one gives you a special tax preferential treatment, but there's a catch to it. Okay? So now to invest to invest midterm funds, come down to the bottom down there. The no-brainer, I don't want to think about it. You see that column, that first row? Remember how it works the same way? For midterm funds, which are between 4 and 8 years, if you don't want to think about it, put 100% in a blended mutual fund. Okay? So now you don't want to think, you just want to, just stick it in a blended fund and let it go. Okay? That's the best way to not think about it. You don't have to pick one of these funds, I'm saying, but it's just a blended fund and a blended fund diversifies across the whole market to try to protect you from that fund diagram where emerging markets were on the top, then emerging markets were on the bottom, and big companies were on the top, big companies were on the bottom. All that kind of diversification risk, it protects you from that. All right? You're still at risk with days and years, but it takes that fund diversification off the table. Okay, so now if you want to think about it and be a little higher risk, because everybody has different risk tolerances, you come down and now it says you put 50% in a blended fund and then put 25 in a mid cap and a 25 in a small cap. And see those letters above mid cap and small cap, those capital letters, those are fund names. If you just put fund, not fun, fund names, it's fun for me, but not fun for most people. All right, so if you put those fund names in on the internet, up comes that fund and you can read about it. But a large cap, mid cap, and small cap, those are like buzzwords, and you go, what does that mean? All that means is that's the size company that you're investing in. A large company means you're investing in stocks of big companies like IBM or, it's just big ones, okay? And then mid cap means you're investing in medium-sized companies, and small cap means you're investing in small companies, okay? And what's been proven over time is some years small companies really thrive and big ones don't. Some years big ones thrive and small ones don't. Some years mid ones really rise and these don't. And some years they all go up and then some years they all go down, okay? And so by segmenting, typically the small and mids go up and down more. And if it goes up and down more and you're a risky investor here for midterm, when it goes up and you made your target of what you're looking for, get out of the market. Same strategy with small if you're going to take risk. And so if all of a sudden 1 year, you're in for 4 to 8 years and you're trying to make at least a 5% return, and in one crazy series of 2, 3, 4 weeks, it went up 8% or 10% or 12%, okay, which means you more than got what you were initially wanting, you exit the market, take your money, and get out. You don't stay, if I stay longer, I'll make more, okay? It's possible, but you could also stay longer and lose it all, okay? And so then you just cash out, you've made your goal, stick the money in a CD. Remember the short-term savings? You stick it in a CD or savings, make 1%, and you've got all the money you needed. Do you see how that works? Yes?
I feel like a really stupid question, but how do you get out of the market?
Yep, we're going to get right to that. You're a great lead person. We're go to that tab called How to Get Started, and it's going to be right in that same one. All right, so this is the midterm. So it's sort of like the same strategy with the small term, but but now you have more complexity of years. But as soon as you make your targets, get out. Okay, same as if you're going to take risk on a short term. All right, let's go to is there anything else on here? Pick the sandbox. No, I don't think.